things have been a little different for me since moving up here to Tennessee and planning as well as starting the construction of our home. So, today I'm going to be sharing a few things that I've been working on in the cottage. Hey there, my name is Yami. I am your Latina next door. Welcome back to Mi Casa. Things have been a little different for our family of six since moving into this cottage. We essentially live in a one-room building. However, it has not stopped me from homemaking. It has not stopped me from creating wonderful recipes for my family, as well as taking on a couple of small DIY projects. And so today I am taking you along in hopes that you enjoy a few of the things that I've done around the home. And let's get started. This area in my kitchen has been a little dark, especially underneath this shelf. This area doesn't get any direct sunlight and it's in a corner, and I thought I would do something in order to brighten the area up. I found this strip of LED lights that are battery operated, and I decided that I would put it underneath the shelf in order to give me a little bit of extra lighting. Now, Nelson actually helped me figure out where I wanted to put it because I wasn't sure whether or not I should put it in front of the shelf, halfway, or in the back. So you see us over here just kind of changing things up a little bit to see how the light shines down, and that way I can make my decision, because when it comes to this stuff, it's hard for me to make a decision. Ultimately, I decided for the back just because the front really was not very pretty. You can see the LED lights, or at least the strip. I know you're going to be able to see the lights, but the strip was kind of bothering me in the front. In the center, it didn't look right either, and I just opted, in order for it to look the best, I think the back, because there it would just be, less conspicuous. This was pretty easy to install. I just cut the strip to length and I just peeled the back of it and stuck it directly underneath the shelf all the way along, making sure that everything was nice and straight and touching the back of the shelf near the wall. That way it just looked like it was, meant to be this way. For the battery pack, I just put some command strips and pulled the string through the corbel opening and just hit it right back on the wall. You can barely even see that it's there, and the battery pack is snug and hidden away. This strip only cost me $9.99, and I was able to link a similar one in my description box below if you want to check it out. The best thing is I can adjust the brightness, and I can even change the colors. And if I want to have a party and just let all the colors shine, I could do that if I want to. But the main thing is that I have even more light underneath the shelf, especially when I cook and even make cooking videos for you all. And speaking of recipes, I have an amazing honey wheat sourdough loaf that I wish to share with you all. And here is how you can make it. What you'll need is a large bowl like this. This one actually has a lid that goes with it, and I prefer it because it makes it so easy. You're also going to need a scale, and you're going to need to put the bowl on top of the scale and make sure you zero it out. Of course, you're going to want to get that sourdough starter and make sure it's super bubbly and ready to use. Now, I'm going to link the full recipe on my blog, thelatinanextdoor.com, but for now, I'm just going to go over everything really quickly. You're going to first start off with 160 grams of sourdough starter. Then you're going to remove the bowl and you're going to measure out 100 grams of whole milk, as well as add to that 200 grams of water. Now, you don't have to put this in a separate bowl, but I personally like to heat it a little bit on the stove in a little saucepan to make it nice and warm, and it helps start the fermenting process and really does activate the yeast as if you were using instant yeast with some warm water. Now, once that's nice and warm to the touch, you're going to want to pour it back into that large bowl along with that sourdough starter. Then you're going to add 2 tablespoons of honey to that mixture. Now, when baking bread, you do want to be quite accurate in your measurements, and it usually is best to use a food scale like this, which is why I'm using grams. Now with a clean hand, I'm going to go in here and I am going to mix all of these ingredients together. I want to make sure that the sourdough starter kind of melts into that liquid as well as the honey, and it all incorporates evenly throughout. I like to remove as many lumps as possible and just get a nice thick consistency of this liquid. After it's all incorporated together, you're going to want to take 200 grams of unbleached flour. Now, don't worry if you don't do wheat bread, you can always just use unbleached flour for the entire recipe. As you can see here, I'm measuring till about 200. It went a little over, but it's okay because you want all of the flour to end up measuring 500 grams. And as you can see here, I am adding some wheat flour. Just be sure to slow down at the very end so that you don't go over the 500. Next, you're going to want to add 10 grams of salt. At this point, you're going to want to remove the bowl from the scale and you're just going to want to mix everything together. Now, you can very well do this with a stand mixer. Mine is still in storage, so I am doing it with my hand. Plus, it gives you a good workout, so it's totally fine. You're going to want to just go around the entire bowl and remove all of the flour from the walls and just continue to incorporate it into one ball. It will be quite sticky at first, but I promise you it eventually will come together nicely, as you will see. Now I will need this for at least 5 minutes so that everything incorporates and the gluten just continues to get activated. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but once everything starts coming together just like this, you're going to want to take a cover and leave it for a few hours in order to double in size. Now I like to do this in the afternoon so that in the evening before I go to bed, this is what I do. I remove the lid and I began to knead the dough again, and I just pull it over onto itself like this and even do some stretch and pulls in order again to work that gluten. And as you can see, the dough starts coming a little bit more together at this point. Now it's not completely smooth because it's not only flour, it is wheat flour, so it'll be a little bit rougher to the touch. I'll continue doing this for another few minutes and then I'll start to slowly shape the ball into a loaf form, kind of folding it over onto itself. It doesn't have to be perfect, I promise. And then I am just going to stick it into a loaf pan that has been buttered so that the bread doesn't stick onto the walls. Now the dough may be a little sticky at this point, but it's perfectly fine the way it is. I'll make a few adjustments and then I will cover with a tea towel and let it sit again overnight. Now this will go in the morning when I wake up into an oven preheated at 375 degrees for 35 minutes. Once it's done, I set out a cooling rack and I place the loaf on there for about 5 minutes or so in order to cool before I remove from the loaf pan. Removing it is pretty simple. All you have to do is use a butter knife along 4 sides to kind of separate it from the walls of the loaf pan, and it comes right out. Now, if you're like us, you're pretty impatient and want to cut into this as quickly as possible. However, you get the best slices when you let the loaf cool completely before you start using your knife to create your slices. I promise it is totally worth the wait. Now let me just show you what these look like when you move them. They're nice and soft. They have a nice texture from sourdough, but they're perfect to make sandwiches with, and they don't easily fall apart or break. As you can see, they're nice and just the perfect texture. Now, we don't have a ton of space in our little cottage, but I had ordered this cute little stool that I wanted to put together in order for me to use whenever I'm on the couch or need a little bit extra stability when I am sitting on the rocking chair with my baby girl. And if it was any other time, we'd probably cut the wood and build one ourselves. But since everything is still in storage and honestly, things are just limited, I opted to try this kit out, and honestly, it was super easy to put together. And I'll have this link below if you guys think it's as cute as I do. Sometimes it's just easier to, buy something like this and put it together yourself. It literally took me, I don't know, less than 10 minutes to get all the screws nice and tight. And yeah, Nelson's drill was giving me some issues that day. He knows it better than I do, but all you have to do is put the little legs and the supports together and then screw the legs onto the cute little footstool part. It has a nice little cushion to it, and I do like the plaid little fabric that it has, but I'm thinking I might end up doing some different covers for different seasons. I don't know. Let me know what you think. The last thing I did was add these little protectors for the floor, and we were done. Finally, for the very last project, and the one I am so excited about. I have been wanting to make my very own vanilla extract for some time now, and it is super easy to make. All you need are a couple of ingredients and some patience. The first thing you're going to need are beautiful amber jars if you don't have any, and you're going to need some high quality organic vanilla beans like this, as well as your choice of alcohol. Now for this, we're using vodka because you can get a fairly inexpensive type of vodka without compromising the flavor, unlike a whiskey or a bourbon. Now you're going to open up your vanilla beans. Again, these are grade A organic, really high quality vanilla beans. You're going to put them on a cutting surface, and what you're going to do is the very first thing is slice them down the length and the center of it. This is going to open up those beans and allow them to really infiltrate that liquid and infuse in it. Now it's going to be kind of weird at first. I had to get used to cutting down a vanilla bean. They are a little bit slippery, as you can see, and yeah, just be very careful that you don't cut yourself and be very patient. Again, just take your knife very slowly and cut straight down. Now, as you can see here, I am cutting these in half. You want to make sure these are submerged completely in your liquid so that nothing goes bad. So I am trying to make sure that they're completely and fully submerged. These are kind of long, and even though I have 16-ounce jars, there still might be a chance that a long one might stick out, and I don't want to compromise that. So once they're cut down, I'm putting them in the jars. Now you need about 4 to 6 vanilla beans per 8 ounces of vodka. Now, these were kind of long and they were full of vanilla beans. It was kind of crazy. I kept getting them in my fingernails. But since they were so long and rich, I decided just to use 4 for 8 ounces. So I ended up using 8 vanilla beans per bottle. And then with the help of a funnel, I filled it up all the way to the top with the liquid of choice. Finally, you're going to want to close it with a very good lid. Now, again, you don't have to use these amber jars. You can use a clear jar, but I will say vanilla extract needs to be stored in a cool, dry place away from sunlight. And if you don't have one or don't have the space anywhere, it's just best to get the amber jars. That way, you don't have to worry about any sunlight hitting your liquid. Now, these are fairly inexpensive. I'm going to have this blog post also in my description box. That way you guys can go get the recipe, get all the links for all of these products if you decide to do so. Now, I'm doing 16-ounce jars, which are pretty big, but I also plan on probably gifting some of these during Christmas, and I bake a lot in my kitchen, so this is going to last me for quite some time. Plus, I'm kind of happy that I get to make my own with super high quality ingredients. Now, in a minute, I'm going to tell you what you need to do next in order for this to work properly. But let's do some math first. Here is a side by side of what my bottle looks like versus a Publix 2-ounce bottle of vanilla extract that you can get at any point in time. Now, for the Publix brand, you're going to pay $6.63 for only 2 ounces right now. And there's no telling what kind of grade of vanilla bean they're using and if it's organic because it's not certified that way. Also, I decided to break my numbers down. And for each of these bottles that are 16 ounces, the cost per bottle, including the vanilla beans, the bottle that I purchased, as well as the vodka combined, ends up costing $10.31. That's only 64 cents per ounce. That's pretty amazing. Now, I did buy a 12 pack of bottles, but only ended up using 6 of them, and that's what my cost breaks down to. I can definitely make more. However, I have to purchase another package of vanilla beans because I was only able to make 6 bottles out of the ones that I had purchased. Of course, you know me, and I could not stop there. I decided to get on Cricut's website and use Cricut Design Space in order to create my very own label. However, I know that not everybody has a Cricut, so I decided to make my very own custom labels that you can edit in Word document, and I made it very similar to the ones you're going to see in a minute. And all you have to do is click on the download link that's in my free printables library on my website, and then it's going to open up the Word document as you see here, but you're going to have to duplicate it because it opens up as read only. Once you duplicate it, you can insert the month and year as well as the name and edit anything else that you wish. Then all you have to do is copy the text box and duplicate it as many times as bottles that you need. Now, the next thing I did was just basically print these out on sticker paper. And I love sticker paper. This brand right here is from Cricut, and it's so easy because it does not get jammed in my printer. All other sticker papers have, and it's fairly inexpensive. And I just cut it down with my paper cutter, peeled them, and put them right onto the bottles. And of course, I'm a perfectionist, so you see me here trying to make sure that everything matches up perfectly and everything looks the same. But I absolutely love the way these came out. They're so beautiful. They look professionally made, and they're just personalized and custom, and they look something out of an apothecary, right? Like what you would see back in the day, what medicines used to look like, and I'm all about that. Now, you will need to store these for at least 6 to 9 months, and that's how long it is going to take in order for this to fully cure, if you will, and get the most flavor out of those vanilla beans. You will want to give these a shake every few days or at least once a week until they are ready to be used. Now, I'll have all the links as well as several options of bottle sizes that you can use in order to make your very own. I'll be excited to use these at the end of the year as well as give them as gifts. Now here, as you can see, I'm putting them up and I'm just giving them a little shake before I do to get everything nice and stirred up. And as you can see, they are away from the sunlight here as well. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, both recipes for the bread as well as the homemade vanilla extract are found on my website, and I will have them linked below. I have easy printable recipe cards as well as additional info throughout the blog posts so that you can get even more tips. I'm not sure if you've heard the baby in the background or the construction going on. We are back in full swing after a few weeks delay because of our weather. So hopefully soon I'll have more to report on the construction build. I hope to see you guys soon, and I'll see you back here with another video. Until then, adios.